Hi everyone, my name's Fiona and I'm here from FoodCloud. I'm going to talk a little bit about the problem and the scale of the problem that we're trying to tackle, as well as our journey so far. So globally, 30% of food produced is wasted. We use land the size of Kazakhstan, Mongolia and China to grow food that is ultimately thrown in the bin. At the same time, there are over 795 million people around the world going hungry. If we could cut our global food waste by just 25%, we'd be able to feed those people most malnourished. At FoodCloud, our vision is a world where no good food goes to waste while people are hungry. FoodCloud early days started by simply contacting businesses to validate our assumption that there was good food going to waste. We also spoke to charities to see if they had a need for this food. We tried to understand why the two weren't working together already. This is a picture of our first donation. It was between a local farmer's market and a charity. This is Isolt and Even here, the two co-founders. They went along to facilitate the donation. The charity were really impressed with the food they received, so much so that they continued collecting on a weekly basis. At FoodCloud, we were so inspired by this positive impact that we wanted to investigate a solution that would be more scalable and sustainable. We looked internationally to see what those were doing to facilitate donations around the world. We knew we wanted to use technology and were inspired by these initiatives. So a lot of our research took place during our accelerator program. During this program, they provided mentorship as well as a collaborative technology startup workspace. During this time, we visited as many charities as possible. We wanted to learn how charities could use our solution best, and as well, what were their current barriers to collecting food. At this time, we decided that we wanted to target retailers, as we knew retailers would have the most consistent supply of food available. So we came up with our solution. We would connect businesses that had too much food with charities that need food through our technology. We approached our first customer and they were Tesco. We had a minimal viable product and they agreed to do a one-store trial. During this one-store trial, we spent a lot of time at the back of the store understanding the processes. It worked quite well for us as we had the bare bones of our product and were able to develop as we learned. The trial then expanded to 18 stores, and again, more time was spent in-store and in charities, understanding how we could maximize the food donations between store to charities. After the trial, we landed a national partnership with Tesco Ireland. They agreed to roll out FoodCloud along all stores in Ireland. Therefore, we were able to expand our team from 2 to 6 people. In doing this, we signed up over 200 charities that would use the service. This was the first network of charities in Ireland that would be using food donations. I'll now explain a little bit more about our solution. So this is Alan. He's a store manager who has frequently food left over at the end of the day. Around the corner is Liz. She runs an after-school breakfast club, and she's actually currently struggling to fund her charity. So, say for example, on a Thursday afternoon, Alan has 26 kg of fresh fruit and vegetables, meat and bakery. He simply logs into the app and uploads the donation details. This then sends a text message to the charity. The charity reply, and then this lets the store know that they'll be on their way shortly. FoodCloud allows Alan to contribute to his society and his community in a meaningful and positive way. More recently, FoodCloud have launched in Tesco UK. The sheer scale of Tesco UK compared to Tesco Ireland has really opened our eyes that we need to evolve our solution that much further. With the Tesco UK investment, we were able to bring our technology in-house. This was really key for us. We're all about smart donations, a technology with a human heart. Yes, the technology enables our solution, but we also have a support team that are dedicated there for the charities. So, there are 2 ways that the store can upload donation details. The first is through the app. Each individual store has a login, which they can upload the donation categories. Secondly, there's the PDA integration. So, the in-store scanners, which was the first of its kind in the UK. It was also a huge development for us in FoodCloud. is actually worked really well in Tesco UK. It has seen the donation process embedded within the stores. So a lot of people think that when charities are offered free food, that they can go and collect the food immediately. However, this isn't the case. Charities are often resource constrained. Therefore, we need built-in schedules. A store can post up to 1 time a day. Therefore, they've got 7 slots. So FoodCloud work around the charities to set them up on a schedule which we communicate to the store. Charities can receive text notifications or an app. This is something that's really involved as we've learned more about the charity as a user. As well as having the charity and the store needs, we also have a support team at FoodCloud. Their job is to maximise food donations between the stores and the donations. This is what a good donation looks like. FoodCloud receive the offer, we send a text message to the charity reply, accepting it, and then the donation is scanned up as collected. However, sometimes this donation does not happen fully as we expect. Therefore, the FoodCloud support team can step into exemptions to the process. We have a smart dashboard that alerts us with any kind of exemptions to the process. So say, for example, this charity here hasn't responded and it's been 20 minutes. So we can have an alert with their number, our support team can give them the call to make sure they receive the donation text and everything's okay. If needs be, we can step in and accept on their behalf. The support team also have a function to offer alternative charities. Say, for example, if the charity scheduled on a Thursday night can't collect because their car's broken down, instead of letting the food go to waste, we can offer it to an alternative charity. This is done on a location basis, or how many people the charity feed, or how much food they've already received that week. FoodCloud are really data-driven, and our platform allows us to provide full reporting on products donated as well as volume. It also provides full traceability, which is required for food safety, especially in the cases of product recalls. Our data also provides us with kind of spotting trends, which helps us perfect our solution. For example, here you can see the bread donated versus the days of the week. So say, for example, if a charity had quite a demand for bread, they were a soup kitchen, they could collect maybe on a Wednesday or Thursday. But if they had a smaller number of service users, maybe a weekend day might be best for them. Another view that we find really interesting is the impact for the stores. We've also heard great stories that they love to kind of show how many donations they've had, how many meals equivalent they provided their community. We also hear nice stories of store managers showing their customers or other store managers how much food they've donated so far. So a little bit where we're at today. We've now expanded our team from initially 2 people to 11 full-time and 5 part-time. We've received a number of recognition as well as awards since starting in 2014. Today we're present in 26 counties in Ireland and working with Aldi and Tesco. And in the UK, we've partnered with FairShare and Tesco UK and have plans to roll out to all 3,000 stores by the end of 2017. Currently, we're active in 900 stores of Tesco UK. So we're working with over 1,000 retailers, over 3,000 charities are on our network. We provided the equivalent of 5 million meals, and over 2,000 tonnes of food surplus has been redistributed with FoodCloud. So one of my favourite, I suppose, elements of working with FoodCloud is hearing the positive feedback from charities. As it's coming up to Christmas, there's a really nice story from a food bank in Ireland that due to the food donations they received from FoodCloud on Christmas Eve, they're able to provide a 3-course meal on Christmas Day for young families and elderly people. These people may have gone without a meal on Christmas Day. Not only that, do they get to sit around and socialise with other people on the day. These kind of positive stories of sharing food within the community is something that FoodCloud really want to hear more of as we develop. Thank you.
Are there any obstacles you faced along the way, and how have you overcome them?
Yeah, sure. There's been a number of obstacles, I suppose. 2 I can think of straight away. One is the scale of the UK. There's 3,000 stores in Tesco Ireland compared to only 150 in Tesco 3,000 in Tesco UK and 150 in Tesco Ireland. So when we agreed the contract with Tesco UK, we knew the scale was going to be humongous. So therefore we partnered with FareShare, and they already had the connection of charities. So partnering with them was really able to help us connect the charity network in the UK, as opposed to approaching the UK by ourselves. Another challenge that we, I suppose, are still kind of developing is charities using technology. Sometimes they don't have smartphones and they're not usually kind of very tech savvy. We used to have a 5-digit code that they had to reply to, but we often found that they were replying with, say, the wrong code and accepting another charity's donation. So this is something we've actually kind of had to work with, and we've now changed it to, we've evolved our technology, I suppose, to just be smart enough to accept a Y or an N that's linked to the charity's mobile number. So that's something that we kind of found challenging, but we've kind of come around to a good solution now.
I was just going to ask kind of similar, but did you have any barriers with like things like food safety and all of that? Who does the onus fall to?
So a lot of people kind of have thoughts about that as it comes to food safety and food surplus. There's kind of some curiosity around it. But as we're dealing with businesses, they quite have strict guidelines already in place. So businesses have to align to them, and charities must sign a contract with us. And before they sign up, they kind of have to have food safety processes in place, as well as getting a due diligence test. So someone from the team will go out and visit their kitchen and make sure that all the processes are in place. But charities also have the onus to say no. If they go to a store and the food isn't hugely acceptable, they can say no right then and there in the store as well.
I've actually got two questions. First one is, you're saying the kind of amount of bread that can be like more on one day than another. Does that kind of increase the charity receiving it to kind of get freezer space, because like meat and bread and things are very freezable? Yeah. And the second question is, have you got any kind of dealings with flood victims to be able to move food from one area to another to help out those regions?
Yeah, so bread, as you said, yeah, it's one of our main kind of food surplus that we get through. And we have come across charities that are finding, well, I'm getting so much bread, I need more freezers, I need more storage space. So again, it comes back to kind of them working with the stores on a local level, saying, this is the kind of bread I want. I only want brown bread, I only want white bread. And the store kind of work at a local level with the charity on kind of how much they can take. And over time, they kind of build this relationship. On a Tuesday, they know the charity is coming that can only take this kind of soft bread rolls. But yeah, it kind of comes down to the charity having enough freezer space, and something we're working with the charity quite closely, that they're aware of kind of recipes they can use with the bread. And I suppose that we don't want to overload the charities with bread as well. Your second question?
Flood victim in areas.
So currently, no, that's not something that we're working on. But again, I suppose we were kind of looking to expand internationally and help those most vulnerable. So yeah, it'd be definitely something we'd be interested in. Thank you.
Do you only work with charities? The reason I ask is that I'm involved in a Richmond Maker Lab, and over the years it's become apparent that a lot of people that turn up are homeless. So they come in, they do electronics and computing, and then they go and sleep in a tent somewhere. We're not a charity, we're probably a community interest group. But do you need to be a charity to get involved in this?
So no, not necessarily. You don't need to be a charity. You can be a kind of community project or a charity. So at the moment in the UK, FareShare kind of vet the people that apply. You have to be a community group or a charity. At the moment, we don't give to individuals, but it's something that, yeah, if you apply to FareShare, they can kind of vet you appropriately. So I wouldn't rule it out.
Thanks.
Have you had any interest on the platform? I'm presuming this sort of platform would apply internationally. So have you had any sort of interest from international?
Yes, we have had international interest. We're currently in talks with a company in the US, as well as kind of connecting with countries during the refugee crisis, Greece, as well. We're kind of hoping to expand to Europe, Tesco Europe, and as well as kind of other countries further afield. We definitely want to expand our solution. I suppose that's part of making it as kind of efficient and as scalable as possible is what we're working on at the moment.
Yeah, first of all, I think it's a great idea. But like, I've got like a roadmap of future features that you're working on, or like, do you track the data of all the charities that take what you give them, and maybe you could make a reward system outside, obviously, from the moral incentives and recommendations?
Yeah, so I suppose as we're only kind of up and running for 2 years, and only since January this year we've kind of dealt with our kind of biggest volume of charities since expanding to the UK. We kind of are spotting trends as we go, so things like the bread volumes, as well as charities kind of having limited resources over the weekends. There's all that kind of things that we're spotting that we kind of want to have a better roadmap for, and kind of always thinking of better innovative solutions that we can kind of help charities use the most food surpluses as possible, really.
Do you know how much carbon you're saving and how much methane you're saving?
Yes. We have a calculation for it. I have it actually on my laptop. I don't have it on the slides or a note at the top of my head.
Quite a lot, right?
Yeah, it's quite a lot, and I actually tend not to use it because the figure is quite big. I find it kind of incomprehensible sometimes, but I'll get it to you after this if you like.
How has been the receptiveness of other companies beyond Tesco and Aldi to the concept that you put forward to them?
All businesses have been really really receptive to it. I find that when you're dealing with businesses that I suppose sell and produce food, they hate seeing it going to waste. So they are really kind of keen to learn about us, and we're hoping to kind of work as many businesses as possible. Again, it comes down to kind of those that work with food on a daily basis, they don't want to see it going to waste, and why not see it go to a good cause?
Would you look to expand this to farmers as well? Because there's a lot of food waste in terms of, you know, we're quite fickle now. We have to have the perfect looking carrot, potato. Like, would you go direct to the farmers for that kind of supply?
Yeah, definitely. I suppose it's really a problem along the supply chain. The retailers is only a small section of it. You've got the consumers, which I think is the biggest percent of food waste, and then you've got the farmers and the distribution as well. So yeah, eventually we'd like to kind of tackle all areas of the supply chain.
Yeah, very related question, but you know, other suppliers such as restaurants, have you in discussions with anyone?
So not yet with restaurants, as it's slightly different, I suppose, as it comes to food safety. You're dealing with hot food. It's a little bit different and I suppose stricter. As charities are the most vulnerable people, we really need to be careful with hot food when it comes to the kind of cold chain. So again, it's something we're working with. We have a food safety officer in FoodCloud, and they're kind of working around the idea of accepting food from restaurants, because again, there's a lot of waste there. So hopefully it'd be something that we could definitely work with.
How do you fund your projects?
So we charge our retailers. We're a non-for-profit as well, so any extra revenue comes back into profiting the company.
Jill, right at the back there. Do you have any plans to move from B2B to B2C? So maybe even like a Deliveroo for consumers if they want to have, you know, they want to use food directly from the suppliers?
Yeah, so we have plans in Ireland. We're actually trialling with Halo. They're a similarity to Uber here in England, I think. So we would hopefully love to work with kind of Deliveroo or Halo Uber. So if there's food donations going about and there's a kind of Uber taxi that's sitting idle, doesn't have a job, they can go collect food from a business and drop it to a charity if a charity is kind of struggling that night or that week for transport or volunteers.
Sorry, another question. Has it kind of there been a kind of positive byproduct that companies actually become more aware of their wastage and actually kind of reduce that amount and the kind of types of wastage they have in different areas?
Not really, no, to be honest. There's been no kind of positive byproduct so far anyway. Maybe in the long run, but I suppose we're only kind of gathering our data in the past 1.5 to 2 years. Not yet.
Sorry, can I follow up to Gabe's question about your funding? If these Tesco's wasn't paying you to take this, they'd be paying landfill tax, right? For their,
exactly.
How much more are you costing than landfill tax?
Yes, so they would have to pay their kind of bin fees, their landfill tax, and in paying us instead, they also kind of get the CSR, they get kind of internal and external connections, they get third-party advocacy. I suppose we're kind of boasting about how great Tesco, Aldi, all the supermarkets are in providing us with this food. So we definitely see it as a kind of huge benefit donating our food to us as opposing it to sending it to landfills or their bins.
Could you see this idea perhaps becoming obsolete one day when suppliers perhaps get better data about how much consumers need?
Yeah, well, I suppose our vision is that when there's no good food going to waste, our job is done. So yeah, if we do our job correctly and the whole supply chain gets smart about everything, yeah, there'll be no place for FoodCloud, I suppose.
One or two last questions.
Okay, there's quite a few now. Yeah, so I noticed so you've got was it Aldi and Tesco on board. So what are the challenges for getting other supermarkets like the other big names like Sainsbury's and Waitrose and all that? What are the challenges with it?
So I suppose this is kind of getting them to come around to the idea of working with us and kind of getting processes in place. The stores at the moment, they have a lot of things they need to do on a daily basis, so it's kind of them coming around to adding an additional kind of task to their stores and kind of coming around to the idea, I suppose, of giving their food surplus and kind of their waste details as well. But I definitely think, as it's quite topical at the moment, they are coming around to it. And as we've kind of seen, we've been working with 3,000 charities now. They can see the benefits of it, so hopefully they'll kind of work with us shortly.
Okay, I think we will leave it there. Can we thank all our speakers?
Thank you.
Thank you.